Hey, so welcome to another episode of the Ultra Running Sam podcast. So, just a little preamble, just to remind everybody that we're sponsored by you Goku Projects. I'm sure you've seen posts and heard shout outs for them on the podcast, so they continue to support the podcast as we go forward. So that's our one and only sponsor. But if you haven't checked them out already, there's still some discount codes knocking around on my post, so keep your eye out for them. But if you're in the market for a trail running cap, look no further than you Goku Project. So the advert out of the way, we'll speak to our next guest. Okay, so welcome to the Ultra Running Sam podcast, Owen Jackson.
Hi, you're right. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, just chilling out at the minute.
Yeah, resting your legs.
Yeah, my legs are all right, to be honest. It was more my feet that took most of the impact, to be honest.
Right.
Um,
Mm.
yeah, my little toes a bit sore, but apart from that, I'm okay.
That's good. You survived. That's
Yeah,
brilliant. Okay, so firstly, we need to sort of introduce you as your new title of being the youngest ever person to complete the Dragon's Back race. How does that
yeah.
feel?
Oh, it doesn't feel real, to be honest, because sort of when I was coming over that finish line and they were saying it on the tannoy, and it was just like yeah,
Surreal.
so unreal, yeah. And then
Yeah,
a couple of people have said it to me, and I'm like, oh no, it doesn't,
yeah,
it
it does
doesn't
feel
seem
real.
right. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, I was so you're 20, aren't you? 20 years
yeah,
old.
yeah,
Yeah, so I was just thinking about this today. I was trying to think what I was doing at the age of 20. It wasn't doing multi-stage ultra marathons, that's for sure. I think so I've been running probably for longer than you've been alive. So I started running like seriously, trying to take running seriously,
Hmm.
probably like 2001, probably. So when were you born?
2002, yeah,
2002, yeah. So yeah. So I'm old enough to be your dad.
yeah.
How old is your dad actually?
He's 52.
Oh, he's
Yeah,
older than me. It's okay.
yeah,
I feel better now. I'm 40. I'm 43, but I was telling somebody today actually that I was talking about age, and I was convinced until recently that I was 42 this year,
yeah,
uh, heading into 43. But actually, my wife told me that I'm actually 43 and I'm going to be 44 at the end of this year. So you just kind of lose count eventually.
yeah.
Just
Age is
age,
only a number, isn't it?
exactly. That's what I keep telling myself. But my,
Yeah.
my knee doesn't agree with me. But anyway, um, so where are you from then? Where do you herald from? I can detect a
Um,
northern accent. So
yeah, so I'm from Bury.
yeah.
Yeah, I've lived here all my life, sort of thing. But do most of my running and stuff like that. Mainly, I do mountain biking.
Yeah,
So
just
that's where I came from, sort of thing. I used to work in a bike shop,
mm,
so that's what got me into biking. And then being outdoors on the trails, doing a lot of walking on the trails, and then slowly went into a bit of running on the trails. And yeah, and progressively enjoyed it even more and more.
yeah. So that was going to be sort of my first question that I always ask
Yeah,
people. Sort of, yeah, we're on today to talk about the Dragon's Back and everything, but sort of,
yeah,
what is your backstory then? How did you
yeah.
go from? Because I looked at your Instagram today, and
Mm,
it's only recent posts are about running.
yeah.
Majority of your posts is like
Is
a little
mount.
bit hiking, but mountain biking mainly. So,
Yeah,
what was your routes specifically into running then? How
yeah.
long did it take and stuff?
So it was probably really roughly about a year ago, maybe. I go out with one of my dad's friends mountain biking. He's called Tash. And basically, he does a lot of running, does a lot of just like outdoor activities. So he's into his swimming and stuff like that. He's done an Ironman. So one time he was like, "Would you like to come on a run with me?"
Mm,
So we sort of got into a bit of running. Then I started going out on my own sort of thing, running, just doing a little bit more. and more gradually. And then I actually entered into my first 50 miler because I wanted to see how far I could run basically.
Mm.
But I wasn't really into it so much. If like I'd never really heard of the event that I was entering, called GB Ultra.
Mm. Yeah, GB.
So I entered the Scottish one. That was maybe about 3 or 4 months ago.
So you didn't think I'll start off with a park run and work my way up to a 10K and
No,
then maybe a half marathon and then a marathon and then maybe an
I
ultra.
wanted to throw myself in, yeah. So at this point when I'd entered it, I hadn't even to qualify for the entries, you had to run a marathon. So I hadn't run a marathon yet. So I went out and did a marathon on my own. I was very unprepared. I had just had literally a bottle of water and a Mars bar, pretty much. But got by in the end with a quick stop off at the shop on the way back. Yeah, and just made it back.
Yeah. What did you time yourself for that, or was it just to sort of complete the mileage, or
Yeah, it would just like to complete the mileage. I think I did it in about 4.5 hours or something like that.
just good
Yeah,
effort for
it
your
was.
first good effort for your first marathon?
Yeah, it were pretty much all off road. I did a lot of laps of this reservoir near me
Mm.
just to make up the mileage. But yeah, I was all on my own, so it's quite hard to motivate yourself when you're not really with anyone or seeing anyone. It is quite hard to motivate yourself. But I kind of knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to run a marathon that day, and I did it. Yeah, and then from there, I did a couple more runs. I actually then purchased some running poles. So I thought I'd test them out, and I went over to Hebden Bridgeway.
Oh yeah.
And I did like a 30-mile loop there. So that was my longest run so far. And then I was straight into the GB Ultra 50 mile on the Southern Upland Way.
Mm. So how did you get on with that?
Well, I really struggled to be honest because previously I'd had through the bike shop I'd had gels and they didn't really agree with me. So I thought I'm going to stay well away from any sort of gel and just took
Mm.
hard food. So
Mm.
cereal bars, granola bars, stuff like that that I'd normally take on my bike.
Mm.
And it was so hot. It was really hot day. And I had such a dry mouth, I could not. There wasn't any chance of me eating any of these granola bars. So I sort of, luckily there was aid stations every sort of 8 to 10 miles. So I did manage to get some sort of some sweets and some fruit and stuff like that down me. But yeah, I was just going from aid station to aid station, just. And then the thing that got me the most was I entered a 50-mile race, and it turned out to be closer to 60. Yeah, that last 10 miles that I wasn't expecting
Was
was
that was
just.
that was that because of a nav errors, or was
Um,
that because of the route was just marked wrong?
it was just out on the on the markings. So yeah, the last 8 mile sort of thing that I did not expect was just horrendous.
Yeah, because I know with the first ultra I did, it was a 50
Yeah,
mile, and I whinged about it being like 2 miles over distance, and
yeah,
I was whinging at that. But yeah,
yeah,
eight to 10 miles over distance is a bit of a jump.
yeah. I was just not prepared for it at all. I was just ready to finish at that point.
Mm.
But I think it was a good thing in the long term because it really did teach me that even though you know the finish line's going to come up, sort of thing, you almost have to prepare yourself for more miles.
Mm.
So you've got to be mentally prepared, ready to just keep on going.
Yeah, which is ideal for when you're doing, like now, like you've done a
Yeah.
multi-stage race, knowing that, if even though your day might be over, but you've still got to have something left in your legs for the next day, haven't you?
Yeah, definitely.
So do you feel like having those experiences sort of prepared you for? I mean, I'm still like pretty much like flabbergasted that you've gone from just doing 250-mile ultras to then doing like a
Yeah.
multi-stage race that's known as one of the toughest like races in the UK.
Yeah.
So like hats off to you. And you did well, didn't you? You came, it was at 23rd.
Yeah, I came 23rd overall, yeah.
Yeah. How many people are in that race? I didn't look at the numbers.
There was like 320, I think, that started.
Yeah.
And I think about 80, maybe at 85, just off the top of my head, actually completed the full course.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it was difficult conditions, wasn't it, to say the least. How did you get on with the
Sorry.
heat and everything? No, you're right. Don't worry. Cough away. You've
Yeah,
earned it.
sorry about that. Yeah, so the heat was just relentless. Um, sorry, I'm just gonna have to clear my throat.
Yeah, you're right. Cough away. We'll take a short ad break.
Sorry about that.
No, you're right. Don't worry.
Yeah, so basically, yeah, my other two events were hot, and I was hoping that this was not going to be hot.
Mm.
Yeah, that was like I just don't really do well in the heat at all. Quite fair skinned, and yeah, factor 50 on every day was just a mandatory thing. Just like any water point, any stream, dipping my hat in. But just straight after, it was just drying instantly. Do you know, because it was just so hot.
Mm.
And then with the heat, some parts of the route there were just no breeze whatsoever. So that was just like,
Stifling. Mm.
yeah. And then there was, I think it was on day 2, we actually got a breeze, but it just came all of a sudden, and it was like 20 to 30 mile an hour gusts, so it was really
Wow.
strong,
Mm.
sort of like blowing you off your track.
Mm.
But yeah, people have said like, "Oh, would you have preferred like torrential rain?" Do you know, like the complete opposite.
Mm.
But then you think we had nice weather and
Yeah,
the lovely views and everything like
yeah,
that to go with
yeah,
with
exactly.
the heat.
Yeah, I mean, we've had such a rubbish summer, haven't we? Like, as far as the weather's gone
Yeah,
this year, it's the for you to get good weather for a race is it's a blessing and a curse at the same time, isn't it? I know. I did the one of the summer spine races in June, and it was warm leading up to that, and then it was torrential rain on the first day, and then hot, and then it was kind of like mixed weather, and I'd prepared for just hot, really hot weather because
yeah,
we'd had a mini like heat wave in the lead up to it, and the week before I'd gone on holiday to Corfu and it was like 30 degrees, and I was like, brilliant,
hmm,
I'm acclimatized to the heat now. And then it was chucking it down with rain, and the wind was blowing on some of the high parts and stuff. And
yeah,
I think that's the thing with ultras. You've just got to be prepared for anything, haven't you? Whatever it throws at you.
yeah, definitely.
How
Yeah,
did
it's
you
never.
Sorry, I was just going to say, how did you
Yeah.
how did you get on with so the technical bit? So I've been up Crib Goch a
Mm.
few times. How did you get on with? So is that the first day Crib Goch?
Yeah, so it's right at the end of the first day. So you're sort of already tired from going up the peak called Trifam.
Yeah. No.
And then you come down, you've got like a bit of a water stop, and then straight up the other side,
Mm,
round to Crib Goch and round to Snowdon.
mm,
That was literally the only bit I'd wrecked.
mm,
So the weekend before, I went up with a couple of friends, and it was like complete opposite weather. So
mm,
we had raincoats on, we had rain pants on.
mm.
Literally, it was chucking it down, blowing like just the wind was like horrendous. It was almost blowing us off. But we really wanted to get up there and see what it was like. I like heights, and I like sort of being on the edge of, because if you did fall off there in some points, you are
You're gonna.
yeah, you're not, it's not going to tickle, is it? Yeah, it's pretty serious up there, but
Mm.
yeah, I do like it. I think on the actual day when you can see on either side, because when we went up, it was just complete cloud cover,
Mm.
so you could only see just in front of you. You can't see any of the drops.
Mm.
So my friend who went up there, he was really struggling with like the height and being exposed,
Mm.
and almost halfway along said like, I can't do this. And we were said to him, well, you either just
Just go.
carry on as you
Yeah.
are, or you have to
Yeah.
go back where you came from. And he did make it in the end.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
worse to go back, isn't it? On Crib God,
yeah,
they recommend that if you start it, you've got to finish it, haven't you?
yeah. You've got to keep on moving across. But
Yeah.
on the actual day, you could see everything,
Mm.
and you could see for miles and miles around, and the drop that is always in your vision, sort of thing. So maybe on the day it was, and there wasn't any breeze. Um, so yeah, maybe it was a bit scarier on the day, but
Mm.
yeah, I enjoyed it
Did you
going
feel
in.
like you sort of focus? Did it make you focus more? Because I know, like when you've sort of in the middle of an ultra, you can sort of get a bit not blasé, but kind of just go into a bit of a
Yeah,
robotic mode, can't you? Did it sort of keep you keep you
yeah,
stick to your senses?
yeah. It sort of breaks it up a little bit because you are thinking about the miles all the way around
Mm.
and thinking maybe how many more you've got left, but you have to really think about where you're putting your feet and holding on to whatever rocks you can to support
Mm.
yourself. Sort of trying to remain with 3 points of contact is the way I did it. Just
Mm.
keep on moving on. I actually got round right onto the top and then dropping down. As you come down, you like join onto the side
Yeah. Mm.
of
One
this
to the right.
Snowdonia railway.
Mm.
Yeah, and there was two guys there entering the race, and they had like burst into tears. So
Wow.
that's quite hard to see. Do you know, like other people, because obviously everyone knows that you're going to struggle and that you are going to find hard spots, but
Mm.
to see other people struggling who you've run with and thought was like a really
Yeah.
strong runner, and you sort of like you're like bouncing off each other, having a chat, and then you see them like bursting into tears.
Mm.
That's like such a hard thing to like witness, and then try and sort of reassure them that it is okay
Mm.
and you can carry on.
So was that so?
Uh,
Were they on the ridge then? Do you come to them?
so
That's them
they
on the
they
ridge then.
just got off the ridge,
Mm.
and they were going up the other side, just up to the summit,
Mm.
nearer the cafe bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it kind of just got all too much for them,
Wow.
all the heat and everything like that.
Mm.
There were other people around them, sort of giving them support, and so I sort of left them alone and let them have their own space. But I don't think they actually carried on with the race.
Mm.
So that's like seeing someone who, because you always see everyone at the start and everyone's so happy and they're all ready to go, and then seeing people
Yeah.
just dropping out along the way is like,
Yeah.
yeah, it is awful to see because you really want everyone to go through and finish the race.
Mm. So was it nearly like two thirds of people dropped out then? So you say there was 80 odds at the end, it
Yeah,
was 300, yeah.
yeah,
Wow, more than two-thirds, yeah.
yeah. There is a lot of people who drop out, and they actually said that they had to make, because you go from the full course and then you can drop down to the hatchling.
Mm.
So you do half days, and they actually had to make more trophies for the hatchling
Wow.
because there was that many people that dropped
Drop
down.
down.
But I
Yeah.
think in previous years they drop down and then just drop out completely.
Mm.
But they really tried to push that if you do drop down, we want you to stay and
Mm.
still have a really good week, sort
Mm.
of. So yeah, so they had to make more trophies.
Can't you is it the Dragon's Back where you can sort of if you're timed out, you can still carry on and do the
Yeah,
course, but you're just not
yeah. So that
officially in the
that
race.
is yeah. So that is the hatchling course. So
Right.
you sort of you get dropped off at the bag drop off, which is roughly about half,
Okay,
and
yeah.
then you run the second half of the day,
Mhm.
or there is an option to run the first half of the day
And then finish.
depending on what you fancy. Yeah.
That's interesting. So for people that aren't fully aware of the race, then the Dragon's Back,
Yeah.
what's the itinerary then as far as days and mileage and like vert and everything?
Yeah, so on the first day, you have about 30 miles, and I think it's about 11,000 feet of climbing. So that they say is like the most technical day,
Mm,
and they say that it is the hardest sort of thing because so many people are sort of so prepared for it, and then when they get to it, they struggle so much, and that is when the most people drop out is on the first day.
mm,
And then the second day, you have a little bit. It's a little bit flatter with a tiny bit more mileage.
mm,
So I think just off the top of my head, I think it's more like 38 miles on the second day with similar climbing, but it is more runnable. Because on the first day there's a lot of scrambling and
mm,
climbing over rocks and lowering yourself down, and so it is like a full like physically just
mm,
draining on the first day. You've kind of prepared yourself so much, and all that first day nerves and
mm,
energy just kind of all on first day, and you've kind of by the time you get to the second day, you're running on literally whatever you're eating. That's what I found.
mm,
So you've kind of just got to really pace yourself and go with how your body is feeling. And
mm,
then you've got the third day, which is it's similar mileage. It's about 40 miles, with a tiny bit less climbing. I think it's closer to 10,000 feet. And then you get in a little bit more mileage on the day four,
mm,
44 miles, I think. But you have got less climbing on that. It's like 9,000 feet. So they say that day four is the easiest,
mm,
which I sort of fell into a bit of a trap. That was like probably my like mistake that I made throughout the week. So I'd heard everyone speaking about day four and how it's a rest day, it's an easy day, how yeah, you can sort of run pretty much all of it. And at the end of the day, you've got like 8 miles where it's like a undulating road. So it's all on road, the last section. And yeah, I struggled so much on day four just because I'd heard everyone saying it's going to be easy and it's a rest day. And yeah,
but it's not.
it got into my head a bit too much, I think. And yeah, ended up, I struggled. And then day five, they say that's the hardest day. If you're not like, if you're okay at climbing, obviously day ones can be a hard if you don't like the heights. But
Mm,
yeah, day five it's the biggest day with the most amount of climbing. Um, all through like the Bracken Beacons and through we go up Penny Pass.
mm,
Oh no, sorry, not Penny Pass.
Penny
Um,
fan.
yeah, Penny Fan, yeah. Yeah, that's one of like the last sort of main climbs and through the hidden valleys. Um, but yeah, people have said so it sort of worked opposite. So people said to me that, oh yeah, this is the hardest day. So I really got into my head that this is going to be a hard day.
Mm,
Like, and I knew that it was going to be hard. And I said to myself all the way around, this is a hard day, and like you're gonna really struggle. And it sort of worked opposite.
mm,
So whenever everyone was like struggling through the day, I found myself running a lot of sections where people weren't, and even right to the end of the day, nearer the cut-off time. So you have two cut-off times during the day, one like dinner time and one later in the afternoon. And there was actually a butty van on the road just as we crossed, coming into the last checkpoint. And I got a Red Bull from there. And that really did just send me just like right up them hills, just like give me a really good boost just for the end of the day. But you could see at the end of the day, you was like looking back, and because we had such good views, you could see every single hill that mountain that we've been up, and you could see like 7, 8, 9 folds of where you'd been throughout the day. And if you looked in the other direction, you could see exactly what were coming up, and you can see how people are just completely just drained and physically exhausted from that day. But I really enjoyed that. I think that was my favorite day, and the day that I probably performed the best on. Yeah, because I really like mentally prepared myself. I think it's just a massive thing that, just having it in your mind that you are going to struggle, but it is okay to keep pushing on. And then you move on to your last day, which is, well, your last day, I think it was 2 years ago, they used to finish on day 5. So you never used to finish in Cardiff Castle. And then they changed it. So you have your day 6 is you run to the castle. So it is a lot less climbing. I think you do maybe 4,500 to 5,000 feet of climbing. But it's still a long day. It's still like 42 miles, I think. So it's not like an easy day again. So I had it in my mind that, I'm gonna try and keep it in my head that it's not an easy day, and sort of I think just that like psychology of it all is
Reverse
like
psychology.
is a massive part of it. Because even coming into the finish line, like, and I knew on my watch that it said I'd got like 5 miles left, and they were just all along this river, and I kept telling myself that there was like more than that. I kept telling myself there was 10 miles left, and like really convinced myself that there was 10 miles. And when I actually came to like the finish line, like I was still full of energy and adrenaline because I sort of prepared myself for even more. It sounds like really strange, but I think that's the way I've found it works for myself. To always think I've got more miles, and when the mileage is less than that, it's like a personal win, and really like keeps me going.
So sometimes it's okay to be a pessimist.
Yeah.
Awesome. So did you find yourself feeling like you were getting stronger as the days went on, or did you feel yourself like taking
Yeah.
positions as you moved through on the days and stuff?
Yeah, so I think on day 1, I sort of come into it and I completely exerted myself on probably day 1 and like the second half of day 2. I sort of used all of my body's energy that I had. Like on my watch, it said that I had like nothing left. It said my potential like stamina and everything was at 1, and it stayed at that from literally Tuesday onwards. And then my body battery, from sleeping and stuff like that, was at 1 all the time. But I think a lot of people were stopping eating and like really having a long time between eating on the trail. Whereas I tried to sort of make my eating closer together. So I tried eating every half an hour, whether that was a gel or an energy bar or some like sweets or anything, just having a little bit, but often. I found that really help. And sometimes I even managed to like miss my timing because I was only just checking on my watch. I like missed my timing by about 7 or 8 minutes or something. And I found that affected my overall like performance for maybe like an hour and a half, 2 hours. So you could really feel like a massive difference when you didn't do it. But at the time when you was like you was sectioning it out into half an hour, you thought, oh, I could probably miss this half an hour because you don't feel like eating at all. And that is the last thing you want to do, eat something that you've ate for so many hours in the past.
And days.
Yeah. But it is such a massive thing. Just keep on eating. Yeah.
It's I think the with the heat as well, and me, you might have found this in other races that were warm that you've done, that can really affect your stomach as well, just because
Yeah,
obviously your body's sending blood out to your
yeah,
skin to try and cool you down, and it's taking it
hmm
away from your organs, and a lot of people struggle. I know
yeah,
I've in on really hot races, I've struggled with my stomach, just feeling just
yeah,
like queasy for no reason, and not struggling to get calories down. What
yeah.
kind of what was your sort of pacing strategy for it? Were you sort of just running by feel, or had you got sort of anything set in mind for doing it?
Yeah, so I think other people knew exactly what were coming up, but because I didn't have any idea of what to expect, I just had to sort of go on what I felt. So I sort of used an idea of if I was feeling really good at the time, I'd sort of try and slow down and try and stay feeling good for as long as
Mm,
possible. And if I felt bad at the time and felt weak and like sort of nauseous or sick or anything like that, I'd try and eat something and same again, just slow down the pace a bit.
mm,
But any sort of flat section, I'd try and run as much as I can.
mm,
And then as soon as it sort of got too steep to run, just sort of fast walk. But trying what I tried to do was trying to keep up with other people. So you sort of when you set off in the morning, like the slowest runners of the day sort of set off at 6 o'clock, and then from 6 o'clock it sort of staggers on. So the faster you are in like how fast you think you are, sort of thing, how fast you're going to complete the day,
mm,
is when you should set off. So the like elite runners at the top were maybe setting off at 7:30. So you sort of a couple hours in through the day, you sort of saw them coming through.
mm,
So a couple of times I tried sticking with them for as long as I could, sort of thing, and
mm.
then it gets to a point where you think I can't sustain
Right.
this
Yeah.
for
Mm,
any longer and drop back. But it was good to see how fast they were going. But just like from day to day, I tried to you sort of see who's the same ability as you, and you sort of tag along with them
mm,
and get a good pace off them. And if you feel like you are feeling good at the time, then you can push on. Like no one's like everyone's really chilled out, and no one's gonna have a go at you for leaving them or anything like that.
mm.
Everyone's in it for himself, aren't they? And it is your own race.
Yeah,
But yeah,
absolutely.
I did a lot of running with other people and gauging my speed off other people
Mm,
because I didn't have a clue what was coming up.
mm. Is there anyone in particular that you sort of found yourself running with like regularly each day?
Um, yeah, there was a lad called James, and we sort of he sometimes set off a tiny bit before me, but I kind of like caught him up, and then as I caught him up, I sort of stayed with him for literally all of the day, and then
Mm,
near the end of the day when we were coming into camp, I'd sort of push on a bit and try and get a bit of time back because I knew that it was coming to the end of the day.
mm,
And also a lad who was in my tent called Hugh, especially on the last day. We spent a lot of time running together. When you sort of get to know people and how they run. So on the flat sections he was running a bit faster than me. So sort of I tried to keep up with him along the flats. And then as soon as it got quite hilly, he slowed down a little bit, and then I pushed on a bit more. And you sort of keep on seeing
mm.
each other throughout the day
Yo-yo.
because yeah, everyone's sort of moving faster then slower, faster, slower, but everyone's moving in that same direction. So as long as you keep on going, I think that is the main thing. Just not stopping. As long as you are moving.
Yeah, relentless forward movement,
Yeah, yeah,
progression. That's where you just got to keep going. So sort of, for sort of hearing your story,
hmm.
of only being like a year into ultra running,
Yeah.
how have you sort of managed with training then? Have you got a coach? Have you sort of looked at plans, or have you just literally just made up? Because it's interesting that you've got that background in mountain biking, which is obviously giving you
Yeah.
like mountain legs, hasn't it?
Yeah. So To be honest, I have never had a coach or anything like that. I've never even thought about having a coach, or just because it's not really something I've looked into. But people have said it in the past, just coming off the event. And yeah, I'd be interested into having a look into a coach maybe. But coming into the event, well, my I did my marathon to qualify into my 50, and then I did my 50-mile race, and then I did another 50-mile race after that. That was about 2 or 3 weeks after, with the same company but in Wales.
Mm.
And then after that, it was probably about 2 months, I think. And I sort of was running maybe 3 times a week, sort of, but wasn't thinking about doing any events. And then one of my friends actually mentioned the Dragon's Back race. And that was probably a week before the cut-off time on the last entries. So I had a look at it, and then I actually entered on the one of the last days of the entries. So I had zero time to really train for it at all. So coming into it, I did like, because I knew that I'd have to do back-to-back days. So I think my week was like maybe a 35-mile week. So I just did back-to-back days after work. I'd just run a little bit. And then the week after that, I upped it to maybe, I think it was closer to 70 miles throughout the week, just running back-to-back days every day. And then it was time to tail down. So I did like another 30-mile week. And then after that, I just had a week off, because I'd heard a lot of people saying it's much better to come into events underprepared than overtrained and with an injury. Yeah, they said that you really don't want to come into the event with an injury or a niggle or something like that. And I was feeling good at the time. So yeah, I just came into the event underprepared. Yeah.
Well, that's absolutely right. That you better off being like 20% underprepared
Yeah.
than being even 1%
Yeah.
overcooked, because yeah, that will come back to bite you. Whereas, especially with multi-day races, you can sort of, your body kind of gets into a bit of a rhythm, doesn't it? Like every day
Yeah.
after the first day, it thinks, oh, okay, we've done one of these events now. We'll be
Yeah.
rested tomorrow, and then you do it again, and your body goes, "Oh, we're not resting. We're
Yeah.
actually doing something.
We're still going.
We're still going." And then on the third day, your body just goes, "Oh, okay, this is what we do from now on."
Yeah. Yeah,
Amazing.
I did find that your sort of body is like, although it doesn't know what's coming tomorrow, it is getting ready for tomorrow. And your first couple of steps in the morning are really slow and stiff, and yeah, you're moving really slow, but you do loosen up, and you sort of, yeah, you're back to running in no time, sort of thing. But I did find after the event, like, it was like as if my body knew I do not have to run tomorrow, and my feet just swelled up
Wow.
within like 30 minutes of taking my shoes off, which I didn't have any other night,
Yeah.
um, which was strange, because you'd think every night maybe my feet would swell up, but yeah, they ballooned up, and my sliders were like 4 sizes too small. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I when I did the summer challenger spine
Yeah.
challenger north, that took me like from Sunday night till Wednesday
Yeah.
lunchtime, and I'd stop to sleep for 3 hours, and then I'd like naps, but at no point my feet, well, as far as I could tell, at no
Yeah.
point were my feet like mega swollen. But like you
Yeah.
say, as soon as you stop, it's like your body just goes, "Oh, okay, this is it. We've actually stopped
Yeah.
properly now," and then they just balloon up. I sent a
Yeah.
photo. I sent a photo of my feet to my wife, and she's like, "You'll never come in near me ever again with those feet." But they're horrific. Well,
Yeah.
it goes down, or the swelling goes down eventually.
Yeah, it's gone down. Yeah, I've had my work boots on today, just about.
What do you do for work?
So I'm an apprentice electrician, so I've just gone into my third year. Yeah, so
Sparking.
I've been on my feet all day.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's it. You're used to being on your feet all day, aren't you? And
Yeah, yeah,
climbing up and down ladders and stuff.
yeah.
So what's the goals for the? Okay, we're recording again after a slight mishap with Owen's phone, but
Yeah,
it's okay. We're
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 back.
back on again now. So the question was that I was getting to was what are your sort of goals for the future as far as ultra running goes? Because you've had like a rapid ascent into ultra running, going
Yeah,
within a year, doing these big races, and then doing one of the biggest races in the UK.
yeah,
What's your plan for the future now with this?
yeah. So I haven't really thought into it too much, but I have thought into some of the races that I would like to attend. I have been looking at the Spine race.
Mm.
With doing like 3 hot races in the past, I would really like to do a cold race. Yeah, so I want to do the Spine, but the full one in the winter. Yeah,
Yeah, my listeners will be playing spine bingo at the moment because
yeah,
I get lots of abuse for mentioning the spine all the time.
really.
That and Western States are the two
Yeah,
the bingo calls that I
yeah,
get.
yeah, yeah. So I'd
Yeah,
I'd like to do the winter Spine challenge. Yeah, the full event.
full. Mm.
Yeah, I think that'd be a really good one. And I would like to eventually. Um, I would like to do just a 100-mile race because obviously I've never run 100 miles, so I think I'd be the next sort of stepping
Logical
stone.
thing. Mm.
Yeah, and I would like to eventually get to, like the UTMB in Chamonix
Mm.
and do like the 100-mile there. I think that'd be amazing.
Mm.
Do an event abroad and yeah, just the full event. I've been watching it
Yeah.
all on YouTube and yeah, it looks amazing. Just
Yeah, it does look amazing.
yeah,
I've never been. I keep wanting to go every year, and
yeah,
I've got friends that are going, some that have done the race, and I'm interviewing a guy this week, the top Brit, Tom
yeah.
Jolly. I
Right,
think I can't remember. I think he got 14th. I think he was so top 20, and a
really,
really good result for a
yeah,
British runner, because it's a real, you know, top level
yeah.
race. That is, it's like viewed as basically like I know Western States they call that the Super Bowl of ultra
Hmm.
running. So I don't know, they probably like UTMB is the World Cup of ultra
Yeah,
running.
yeah,
Make that analogy. so
yeah,
so so there you go. So for some international racing there.
yeah. So I'd like to go and do that UTMB. Yeah, there is a round in Wales. I think I'm going to enter that and do the 100-mile there. I think that's my next 100-miler. And
What's that?
I'd like
What race is that?
it's the UTMB round around. It's around
Oh,
Snowdonia.
yeah.
Yeah. But you can
Over.
enter. I think you can enter a 50 or 100.
Yeah,
I don't know if there's a smaller event, but yeah, I think I'm gonna enter the 100 on that. And
yeah.
I would just like to just do more training and just like see how far I can actually push myself because I did go into this event just completely just untrained,
Mm,
quite unprepared, but I have learned a lot in a short amount of time. So
mm,
I've dealt with situations quite well, like with my feet and everything like that, because people were suffering with their feet so bad. But yeah, I've dealt with all my little situations and all the little problems that I've had quite well, I think.
mm,
But yeah, just a steep learning curve, and yeah, I would
yeah.
just like to get some training in, some proper running training. Yeah,
Well, that's it. You see that you've got the racing experience.
yeah,
You've managed to get through a big multi-day stage
yeah,
race. You've done when I was your age, when I was this making me sound old now into
Yeah.
talking about when I was your age, I'd got no, I was not, I don't know whether I would have had the self, but like belief to be able
Yeah.
to go and do something like that,
Uh-huh.
to sort of put myself. But then how did you view it? Did you sort of view it that, will you go into it with the aim of thinking I've got to complete this, or were you just thinking I'll just see how far I can get, don't unknown?
Yeah, so my view going into it, well, I'd been told about it, and then I've been told enter for the enter for next year, because then you've got a year training and you'll
Mm.
absolutely smash it. That was pretty
Yeah.
much his words of, yeah, enter for next year, you'll train for it and smash it.
Mm.
And then I thought, well, I don't want to enter it next year. I want to do it now as like as young as possible. So I did enter it, and yeah, I went into it with the intention of I am going to complete this, and there wasn't like dropping down to the hatchling course or dropping out. It really wasn't an option.
Mm.
It wasn't a thought that crossed my mind at all, and I was crossing that finish line at the end. Like that was my only, yeah, my only thought. I didn't give myself any other option, sort of
Mm.
thing.
That's brilliant. That just
Yeah,
shows you're destined to have
yeah,
a good career in ultra running, if
yeah,
that's how you approach it. That's what you need. You've got to have
yeah,
that self belief, and to think that you're not going to try, you're going to do. So
yeah,
yeah, yeah, and the sky's the limit then, isn't it? If you think about it, with the potential that you've got. So
yeah,
first
definitely.
race with minimal training, you place in the top 30 out of,
Yeah,
there's so many people dropping out.
mm,
If you train seriously and put your mind to it, there's
yeah,
who knows what you're going to be able to achieve in ultra running. Yeah, the sky's the limit. Awesome. So good. So I appreciate you coming on and talking about your
no, thank you.
experience, and yeah, it's good to see your perspective as a young whippersnapper coming up in the
Yeah,
sport. And I hope that we'll see more of you in the future
yeah,
as your career
definitely,
progresses.
definitely.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
is there any way, anyone that you want to sort of, anything that you want people to direct people to, like your social media or anything like that, to follow you?
yeah. So I've got Strava. I'll just have a look at what I'm called.
Mm.
Um,
Do you use your own name on Strava?
say again, sorry.
Do you use your own name on Strava, or do you go?
So it's just Owen Jackson on Strava, I think.
I'll
Yeah,
search. And what about for
yeah, and then I've also got Instagram. Um,
you're on Instagram, so you're just on the as
yeah, so,
Owen Jackson.
yeah, and that's Owen Jackson 2410 on my Instagram.
Awesome. Right.
Yeah,
Well, we wish you all the best for the future, and I'll keep an eye on you and see what races you're doing, and
yeah, definitely.
if you do any more big events, we'll talk again, and we'll have a catch up, and hopefully no
Yeah.
one's taken your crown of being the youngest person to run the Dragon's
Yeah,
Fire. You
hopefully
never
not.
know. You might hold on to that one for a few years. But,
Yeah,
appreciate you coming on. Thanks for talking to us.
yeah, thank you for that.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Cheers.